As the invasion drew closer, Urza's means began to resemble Phyrexia's ends. Flavor text of Extruder. Did you watch The Dark Knight? Well, if so, you probably remember that scene where Joker has two boats loaded with bombs. He gives the passengers an option to either blow up the other boat or have both boats blown up. In this situation, one boat is loaded with civilians and the other is loaded up with a bunch of hardened criminals. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the movie, and it serves to show the true strength of character for the people of Gotham. They take the risk. Neither boat is willing to pull the trigger, to commit that atrocity, and so they show that they are better than the Joker intended them to be. Now, let's take a look at what would happen if Magic's former main character, Urza, was handed both detonators and was told that he must blow up one of the boats. Urza would reason that the criminals were all far more useful since they were mostly strong men that could be used for selective breeding, labor, or as soldiers. In this particular incident, he would deem the civilians worthless and a drain on resources, and would likely blow up the other barge without a second thought, giving no care at all to the morality of the situation. He would then kill the Joker by grabbing him and dragging his body through the blind eternities, pulling him apart molecule by molecule across dozens of worlds. And possibly, he would then create a device that could detect people with similar thought patterns to the Joker, and would use it to hunt them down and murder them all. Not because it would be good to stop future criminals, no, but because this was a waste of his time. And we wouldn't see it, but in the end, those decisions would give him access to the resources he would need in the long run to secure a better future for the world. One atrocity at a time, Urza is saving the human race. If that sounded a bit intense to you, I wanted to use it as an example to put in perspective just what kind of person Urza was. Just like Jace and the Gatewatch are now, Urza was one of the main characters of Magic's story for many years. A story that often followed his path of destruction across the multiverse. Much of Urza's mortal life was spent locked in conflict with his brother, Mishra. The brothers' war was devastating for the plane of Dominaria, and Urza's final act in the war, detonating the Golgothian Silex, would not only thrust the world into an ice age, it would trigger his ascension into a godlike planeswalker. Having learned that his brother was corrupted by the black mana of Phyrexia, Urza would dedicate his immortal life to battling against Yawgmoth, the father of machines, and preparing his home of Dominaria for an inevitable invasion. But, in his quest to safeguard his home and defeat the evils of Phyrexia, Urza proved time and time again that he was willing to cross lines that otherwise traditional heroes would not. In part, this was caused by his own madness. After the Silex blast, Urza was rarely what you could call sane. His mind was scarred and ravaged multiple times, and ultimately that damage would lead him to making several questionable decisions in the name of victory. For one, his Bloodlines project could best be described as a eugenics program, carefully selecting and interbreeding Dominarian families in an effort to create a genetically superior human to wield his legacy weapon. The Metathran, a tragic byproduct of this project, were a race created by Urza solely to serve as foot soldiers in his war. They were incapable of reproduction and were doomed to go extinct even if they somehow survived the Phyrexian invasion. As Sarah's realm destabilized and began to collapse, Urza was the one who made the decision to put its energies to use. Though he did ultimately evacuate many from the plane, Urza was the one who collapsed the entire world into a tiny point. This created the Power Stone core to provide energy for the Weatherlight, at the cost of anyone still left in the realm. But perhaps his most questionable decision of all was made during the formation of the Nine Titans. This group was a collection of 9 planeswalkers, including Urza himself, that would strike at the heart of Phyrexia during the invasion. Urza recruited Freyalise, Windgrace, Taysir, Guff, Bolivar, Christina, Daria, and, finally, Tevesh Zot, for the task of planting and detonating several powerful soul bombs on Phyrexia, hopefully destroying the entire plane. Equipped with powerful mechanical suits of armor, the Titan engines, these planeswalkers would wage war on Yawgmoth's world. Tevesh Zot, a dark and cruel monster, was recruited by Urza despite the warnings of the other Titans. Later on, Zot proved their fears true by betraying the Titans and murdering both Christina and Daria. However, Urza revealed that not only did he believe Zot would betray them, he accounted for it. Urza activated the kill rubric in Tevesh Zot's Titan engine, killing the planeswalker and harvesting his soul to power all of the soul bombs. Urza informed the remaining Titans that he believed having your soul harvested to fuel these bombs was an unimaginably cruel fate, and that he wanted to use the soul of someone who truly deserved such an end. It was for that reason that he recruited Tevesh Zot. He was expecting a betrayal, and intended to use it to justify, to himself and the others, the act of using Zot's soul as fuel for his war. Urza sacrificed both Daria and Christina to the vile whims of Tevesh Zot, just so that he could feel justified in killing a monster. There are many more terrible decisions we could cover, but this is not an in-depth video examining Urza's long and eventful history. You can expect Urza's life and accomplishments to be their own video, sometime in the future. As for this video, well, this was a very brief examination of a character that was willing to do the unthinkable to achieve victory. Ultimately, it's what separated Urza from the Gatewatch. He wouldn't moralize, he wouldn't try to do the right thing, he wouldn't seek the better path. He would cross the line, he would commit the atrocity, and he would do whatever it takes to win. And in the end, Urza would win. Thank you for watching this video. If you watch this video, wow, amazing. This is like the 80th time I've done this outro sequence, and I still can't get it right unless I have the script right in front of me. Wow, I think one of these days I'm just gonna forget to breathe!